What's going on, guys? You guys are gonna keep me company for a couple moments here while I'm on my way to work this morning. But we just found out Cameron Clark, our fourth round, I guess versatile offensive lineman, but essentially a guard. He has just been forced officially to retire in the NFL, no longer being able to pursue his dreams. So if you guys remember, Cameron Clark was the guard who went down in an August 3rd practice early in the season. I want to say it was during training camp, and he ended up suffering a spinal neck cord contusion. I think it is something like that. Either way, an orthopedic surgeon pretty much just confirmed if he was to try to continue his NFL career, it's going to end up putting him at risk of, having permanent paralysis. So, having some neck issues and stuff myself, I definitely understand the seriousness of what's going on for him. Now, family and player aside itself, it's another ding for the New York Jets, of course. And personally, I'm hoping that, Cameron Clark is able to move forward without any personal issues. And I don't know what that'll look like for him. I'm sure there's 2 years worth of paychecks, but I'm sure the orthopedic surgeons and stuff don't come cheap either. So I'm hoping he's at least set himself up well for, life after the NFL, even though it was sooner than expected. Personally, I felt like he could have been a dark horse candidate and potentially still have shown something for the team that definitely sorely needs talent on the line. But regardless of that, jumping back into the actual team aspect of the whole situation, it's another mark, essentially another ding on the record of Joe Douglas's 2020 draft class. And if you look at it, it went from bad to pretty much atrocious with the news that broke today. We're talking about Mekhi Becton, who just got confirmed that doesn't even have a guaranteed starting job coming back, and as it rightfully should be. He definitely needs to, put in some work and effort to ensure that that's going to be his job moving forward. But we've already spoke about that in another video. We have Denzel Mims, which for whatever reason, the last 4 or 5 games of the season could not for the life of him either stay on the field due to getting yanked, or when he was officially for like the last 4 games, pretty much required at that point because there just wasn't enough bodies in the wide receiver room really. Couldn't for the life of him really even haul in a catch. And we think about, if I think back to some of the highlight plays and some of the things that made me think like, the guy can still be the guy for us. That man totally disappeared and was a shell of himself the final quarter essentially of the season. So you essentially don't have a starting tackle anymore, depending on what happens when he comes back. We don't even have a receiver at this point that looks like he should be a camp body. We have Ashton Davis, the safety, who might get beat out by a cornerback that we drafted in Jason Pinnock that we converted to safety. And I do believe he might have played some in college, so it's not like, a complete 180. But we go back and take a look at it. Jason Pinnock looks like he potentially, played better than Ashton Davis down the stretch the last couple games there. So he might not even be on the roster moving forward. Jabari Zuniga, who just picked up his first sack of his career last season, playing in a rotation that was heavily impacted by injuries across the board. So, proud to see that he was finally able to, accomplish his first sack of his career. But we're still looking at that as basically another missed pick. He hasn't done anything really of note, or even anything aside from the sack that, builds confidence that he could be a guy moving forward to slide into the rotation and be productive. I think most people would agree with me. Bryce Huff is probably looking at having a more satisfactory career than he would be, and we've seen his season get blown away by injuries as well. After Jabari Zuniga, we have essentially Cameron Clark. Then we have LaMichael Pirine, the man. Yeah, it's crazy to say that there's so many players that at this point we wouldn't even consider camp bodies for us. But still, LaMichael Pirine, good as gone, right? We have James Morgan, the quarterback who we drafted to essentially try to develop as a backup. We cut him and then bring him back, but it's essentially a foregone conclusion that was a wasted pick. And then basically the two best picks of the entire draft, we have Bryce Hall, who's been one of my most favorite underrated defensive backs we've had since Antonio Allen, the strong safety that we used to have, that I feel like was underutilized at the time. But Bryce Hall, he's developed into what I would consider definitely a cornerback one, potentially. Maybe on the fringe of it. There was definitely some excellent games there. There's some stuff I had to dive a little deeper in to see that maybe he wasn't providing as much actual coverage against the number one receiver on the other team the entire game. But still, not to take anything away from the man, he's definitely been flourishing. And it's kudos to JD for even taking the risk to pick up that player. He should have been a round one, round two cornerback realistically anyways, and the injury just kind of dropped him. And then we have Braden Mann, the punter, which at this point feels like a representation of the whole class because we pretty much punted on damn near every player that we've tried to draft. So it's not great. I think that gives us, if you want to count it, I'm not going to include Denzel Mims in the positive column. Mekhi Becton, as long as he can stay on the field, I would say will still be a hit. So you're looking at 3 picks between Becton, Brandon Hall, and Braden Mann is basically any kind of decent selection, anybody that's providing any kind of quality play for us. 3 out of maybe 8, 9 picks, I think maybe, that we had overall in the class. So it's not great. Obviously, the next class was much, much improved. I do, again, not to go deep into it, but think there would have been some maybe discord and dysfunction between Adam Gase not really knowing what he wanted and a player for his schemes, as well as everybody just kind of butting heads. The offense versus the defense wasn't really fluid. The team didn't really feel like it was synergized or anything like that. So not to say that I'm giving JD a pass on the class, but again, when you're not necessarily just expected to pick the best player and give it to your coach to develop, but more so are looking to cooperate and collaborate on finding the perfect fits on your offensive defensive teams. If you have a player that has his heads in the cloud, or a coach, that has his heads in the cloud somewhere, it's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do for that. So we'll see. 2022 is definitely going to be the class that defines JD's tenure. But other than that, again, just to wrap it up, best of luck to Cameron Clark moving forward. Wish him all the best. Other than that, as always, thank you guys for showing all the love and support lately. It's been awesome just talking to, other fans of the Jets, especially since I'm on the West Coast out here. And looking forward to dropping more content for you guys. So thank you again.